So I'm here with Cliff, Kyle. Last time we were chatting, it must have been, I guess, over 2 months ago. We were in Manteo, North Carolina, at the Roanoke Island Maritime Museum. And we were having a little chat about an adventure that you were about to embark on. You had found a boat, you bought that boat, but it was a long ways away. It was up in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, and you actually hadn't seen the boat yourself. You had sent some Facebook friends by to take a look, and they said it looked all right. It was a 1977 Pearson.
Which gave us a lot better feeling about it, yeah.
Yeah, P26.
Kind of worried,
but
shot
still
in the dark kind of thing.
38-year-old boat, never know what you're going to get, right? So I think everybody would love to hear what the hell you've been doing for the last 2 some odd months and how things have worked out. And so again, I think when we last chatted, you were about to get on a train, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, I policed up my area in Manteo there, and luckily had a friend put all my stuff in storage for me. And that was a very hot adventure too, because once they pulled the AC off the boat, started sweating pools. But got that done in a couple of days, and then went to the train station in Newport News, jumped on, and rode that all the way to right before Providence, Rhode Island. Not sure what that place was that David Dawes had me get off at, but he was there promptly to pick me up. And
so David is someone that you knew from Facebook. You had never met him, right?
Contacted us on Facebook and said he'd be there, and was a great help. You know, he picked me up there at the station like within 5 minutes of landing, or pretty close. You know, I had time to go to the bathroom, and he was there. Let's put it that way. And he took me on a tour before he took me to the boat, which was actually very helpful when I left out, because the points that he had pointed out, I knew I was en route when I was going to Block Island. I was like, oh yeah, David told me about that, so I'm good, you know. And a lot, you know, he gave me a real good tour of Portsmouth and that area, which was neat, because it's a neat kind of sea town. Then we went to Pirates Cove Marina there, and the boat was on the hard.
So tell us what you thought about. What were your thoughts when you first saw the boat?
I was still, you know, yeah. It was, everything was okay.
You weren't disappointed with it?
Not at all, no.
Right.
No, we already knew. The only thing really was the keel, and we already knew about that, so we'd seen that in the picture.
So just for anyone who hasn't been following along, just give us a little info on the keel. What's the story?
It was
on the Pearson?
An iron keel, you know,
Right.
38 years old, and it's a lot of pitting.
Right.
It's actually the only bad part of the bottom. Once they had soda blasted it, you could see that, you know,
Right.
that the bottom was immaculate.
Right. And so you found the boat. I guess the boat was probably full of stuff.
Yeah. You know, Ben had put a lot of stuff up in there. You know, left a lot of stuff. You know, it was nice. And David helped me go through that, and he helped me get things together. And then while I'm going through stuff, he even went off and prompted them to get me to splash. So, you know, shortly after we'd kind of gotten stuff where you could move around the boat, I splashed. You know,
So
they brought
did
the
you splash
crane
on the first day that you were up there? You spent one night on the boat, or did you?
Yeah, we went to. David took me out and fed me, and by the time we got back, it was splashed.
Boat was in the water. Right?
Yeah,
which
so,
made it a lot easier, probably.
And
for
we
you.
had grabbed provisions too, because he wanted to go look at another boat, and yeah, he needed to head out. So I did the pirate slide down onto the boat, because there wasn't any way to get to it, and he handed me my stuff, and he took off.
Right.
And then within minutes, Tony Weatherford shows up, and, you know, he's leaning over. He's like, "You need anything?" And he already started without.
So Tony, again, is somebody you had never met. Tony.
Yeah, another Facebook contact,
right?
And was right there, and was a tremendous help in many ways. You know, that's where my anchor came from, a handheld radio, a battery. And plus, he just helped me get ready to go. You know, without his, you know, he's a much more familiar seller than I am, you know. So he went over everything for me and was a big help.
Right. And so, how many days did you end up staying at Pirates Cove? Because you had to have some work done, right? You had to get, I think you had the engine that came with the boat, the outboard. You had that serviced.
Yeah, well,
that took a little while.
It was preempted actually, but yeah, it still took them a week and a half, I think, just to get the motor on. Yeah.
Right, and you had the
Then I found out. Unfortunately, didn't find out. I should have found that out the first day, but you know. But yeah,
the toilet actually wasn't functioning properly.
Yeah.
So you had the head rebuilt. Is that it that you had done in Pirates Cove?
Yeah. Everything else I did. Yeah.
Right. So what other things did you do to get ready for the trip while you were at Pirates Cove? Were there any projects that you had under time? I know you did something with the bilge and you rewired the bilge.
Right, I wired an automatic bilge pump in there because all it had on it was a manual.
Right, and you sorted out the electricals. There was some question at the beginning of whether there was any AC on the boat or not. I think
there's no AC at all. No.
Right.
But yeah, I thought I was not familiar with those type fixtures, and it was an Edison screw-in bulb, which was. But that's evidently common DC
right.
for boats.
Right.
But yeah, that threw me. And it actually wasn't that. It was the way the fixtures have a plug-in.
Right.
A two-prong plug-in.
Like
that's what made me think it was an AC plug-in.
Right.
But evidently they used that to put other, I guess
Run
to put your
light.
DC razor or whatever. Or run whatever DC power you want.
And there was some other. So you wired up a bilge pump. An automatic bilge pump.
And I redid the hand pump for the sink was completely trashed because the winterization had blown all the gaskets in it. So I took a aeration pump for a live well and mounted it in. So that's what my sink pump is. You turn that on and get 1,000 gallons per minute.
That's plenty of water. So I think you also did some. You brought an inverter, but I guess you also had someone gave you another inverter.
Tony also gave me another. I got two 400-watt inverters on that,
and got a
which has been handy towards
spare deep cycle.
That's two extra USB ports.
Right, and you got a spare deep cycle battery to
yeah.
Wasn't there a solar on the boat?
Yeah, and I set that up before we left. That was one of the other little projects. And kind of actually got it mounted en route. So
right. So does that now charge your batteries for you sufficiently?
The whole trip I was topped off. I never had a problem battery wise.
Okay.
With the extra battery and that solar panel, even though it's a 15-watt, keeps it topped off. So once I do get a decent solar system, I shouldn't have any problem.
Right. So after about, I guess it was 2 weeks almost, 10 days. Do you remember how long you were at Pirates Cove? Because it took some time to get the engine mounted. Service mounted.
I want to say it was definitely more like 16 days, I think.
Right.
In all, because it was a week and a half just to get the motor put on, and then another 4 days to get it mounted properly.
Right.
There was issues with the hand controls there on the side going to the motor. Evidently weren't
the ones for that motor.
Evidently, yeah. That it was set up weird and they'd thrown them, but they got it done.
Okay.
They were stiff and.
So basically, after 2 weeks and a few days or so, you had the boat ready. You pretty much knew your way around the boat. You'd been in the water pretty much the whole time in a slip.
Yeah.
And at that point, you were thinking about heading out.
Yeah.
And so, what was your plan? I mean, ultimately, we
as soon as they finished the head, basically that night I took off. Yeah.
And we know from the last time we spoke that ultimately your plan is to make your way down south into Chesapeake Bay for a while at least, and then at some point when it starts getting cold to keep moving where the weather's warmer. But when you were leaving or planning to leave Pirates Cove, for the next couple of days, what were you planning to do? Where were you planning to go?
Well, the first leg out was definitely Block Island. Yeah, it was the most sensible.
So tell us about that trip, not the trip itself, but planning for the trip. How far away is Block Island from Portsmouth?
I don't actually remember.
It's about 35, 40 nautical miles, something like that. So it's a basically
40, pretty close to 40.
It's a day sail, right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I rode in there at midnight. It was interesting. Actually, most of it's a fairly comfortable. Uh, I was right into a nose wind, so it really wasn't going to sail. But I put up the mainsail for
Right.
stability.
Right. So you were planning to head from Portsmouth to Block Island, and then from Block Island you were going to head back down the Long Island Sound, I guess, and eventually to New York, and then down around Atlantic City, Cape May, and then up the Delaware Bay. So
Yeah, we definitely had set Block Island to Mystic or New London, and
right.
that
And that was your plan.
ended up being Mystic, but yeah.
So the next time we talk, maybe you can tell us about your adventures between Portsmouth and Block Island and Mystic. All right.